Watashi no name ha Barak Yalad desu. Martial Maze Podcast no hosto diari. Tenrai Dojo no shunin instructor desu. Minasa wa root to the truth. Okite emasu. My name is Barak Yalad, host of the Martial Maze podcast and head instructor of Tenrai Dojo, and you're listening to Root to the Truth. Today's topic, the importance of context and understanding Japanese martial arts, part 2. On this particular topic, I am speaking on a grand scale of context and not just focusing on one specific thing. The reasons for initiating martial arts training are multifaceted, including self-defense, martial skills, self-empowerment, confidence, fitness, self-improvement, mental development, personal growth, self-actualization, camaraderie, and more. Some individuals are attracted to martial arts that have a sporting component, such as judo or certain systems of karate and BJJ, due to the enthusiasm for competition. However, not everyone begins martial arts training is interested in exploring aspects beyond the physical techniques. Some students view martial arts practice as primarily a means of physical conditioning and skill development. Regarding anything that does not directly enhance these objectives, treat it as redundant. But the study of martial arts goes well beyond acquiring skills with techniques. Japanese martial arts has a long history of developing the mind and the character as part of mastery. Here in the West, I've met phenomenal martial art teachers with impeccable skills, but when it comes to personal character on how one conducts themselves in and out of the dojo, they fall to the wayside. Chronic smoking of cigarettes, drunkards, woman abusers, racists, inherently violent, egotistical, all-around bad behavior. Some people don't care learning under people like this. They're there for the technique anyways. Nothing else matters. I'm sorry, but I could never have a teacher like this. The same for Japanese who moved to America to teach Budo. The tone must be set from the very beginning. If you fail to do that, you will create students with behaviors that are irreversible of truly understanding the way because you never lived it yourself. Your primary focus was just techniques, which is just an ingredient to baking a cake. Let's not confuse the ingredient for being a cake. Throughout Japan's long history of martial traditions, principles, and strategies from centuries of experience in world of combat have made their way into hundreds of martial systems. Many martial arts in the modern world are in one way or another beneficiaries of this knowledge from the past. These teachings are often presented as integral parts of training in various arts. Appreciation for where these came from adds to your understanding of how they may fill out your training today. Japan is a complex society, a tapestry woven from many threads, some of which can appear baffling to the uninformed Western eye. Martial arts arose from this tapestry. It's important for students to become at least somewhat culturally literate about the art that they are practicing. Increasing your knowledge of this context will not only allow you to better understand why your art does some of the things it does, it will enrich your total experience and give you a better appreciation for the higher objectives of the art. It will give you the tools you need to better evaluate what you are doing or what you see happening in other systems. You don't need to have a PhD in history or become an expert in Asian philosophies to gain a bit of contextual understanding you ought to have to support your practice. But you should be aware of some of what constitutes the underpinnings of your art and work to familiarize yourself over time with important elements that have contributed to its development. Language. At a minimum, you should become familiar with 3 things. 1, Japanese pronunciation. 2, basic dojo vocabulary, and 3, the meaning of relevant concepts and principles. Pronunciation of both spoken and written words in Japanese will help you expand your learning. No one expects you to sound like a native speaker when you use Japanese words in the dojo. But by paying attention to the sound of the language, you should be able to achieve a reasonable approximation to the correct pronunciation. Basic dojo vocabulary. Whether in Japanese or in English, this includes the names and meanings of all the techniques, Forms, ranks, or other labels used in your system, vocabulary used to open and close classes, common phrases that may be used during class, and any other terminology that is used in your dojo. Learning relevant vocabulary in Japanese will also allow you to visit or join different clubs and be able to participate comfortably when you find they use Japanese terms. Concepts and principles. This is an area where you especially want to go beyond a one or two word definition or translation. Many useful concepts in martial arts require more of an explanation than a simple translation can give you. By memorizing only the translation or definition without examining the nuances or context of meaning for the concept, you will lack the more complete understanding you could get by doing your homework about these important fundamentals. Know your own art. Take the time to learn the specific philosophy, history, and objectives of your own art. Familiarize yourself with the story of your system's founder and how and why he developed his system the way he did. If your art uses kata, be sure to know why you are doing the movements and the forms. Understand what is being preserved and passed on through the kata. Know where your art fits in on the spectrum of martial arts, and be sure its aims are a good match for your own objectives. Know something about other systems. No system exists in a vacuum, and many of them developed out of already established systems. You will find interesting and helpful contrasts and parallels to your own art when you take the time to investigate others. Include in your study a look at the founders and their objectives for their arts. Know the difference between an integrated system and a mixed or composite art. Integrated systems are characterized by internal consistencies of principles. That is, the principles apply universally to all of the techniques in the system. In a mixed or composite art, typically formed by combining pieces from a variety of different arts, some principles may apply selectively to different parts of the program. Elements such as power generation, stance, tai sabaki, body movement, use of ma'ai, distancing, methods of striking, methods of throwing, styles of ukemi, and more often vary from art to art. In an integrated system, the consistencies of underlying principles connects these elements to allow for a seamless transition of movement and technique. Often, the ultimate goal is to operate on principles rather than rely on technique. Whichever type of art you choose, be aware of its inner workings so that you may gain the best possible understanding of how it operates. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to The Martial Maze.